I have always believed that Nepal has three areas which we have a competitive edge even with our two big neighbors. They are not only a big market, but we do have a competitive edge. And because it is such large, that benefit can accrue, because if we went on the areas where I felt Nepal had a competitive advantage. One is tourism. Tourism, as you see, has been a success story. Actually, it is one area where industry-wise I think is a success. But having said that, I must tell you, we haven't even scratched the surface. Now, this we can discuss off the cuff. These are much more contentious issues also. The second I have said is water and power. For a simple reason. At one time, we thought, for instance, we had 82,000 megawatt possibility. I attended one of the, it was a seminar when I was in Berkeley. Because my interest, the fellow told me, just come. One of the experts told me, you are wrong. Nepal's capacity is as much as Brazil. And I told him, how can it be? Look at the size of Brazil, look at our size. He said, don't forget, Mr. Rana, when he said 82,000, the man who did it, this was about 40 years ago. He says, obviously what was in his command to come to that conclusion was limited. But today he says, information is everywhere. And he says, how do I know about Nepal unless that information was not there? He said, if you look at Brazil, all the river runs on a valley. Yours has the fall. Right? He told me, your own. I mean, now why are you thinking of doing the second one? It's the same water. You put it under the 7-kilometer tunnel and then you put up a turbine again. So Nepal has that advantage. And falling always gives you more power than running. So he told me it's as much as Brazil. And he said, look at the market you have. India's development will never take off unless they can solve the energy problem. They cannot. What is going on is again the same problem. So I felt, and we had knowledge. You know, the engineers and all, they tell me their knowledge is second to none. So we have, on this field, we have a knowledge base. We don't have to go everything outside. Look at the one you people created after the American partners left and we bought the share. It is 8, just like you, 8 young people who run the whole thing. We don't have it like any 1800, but it can be done. And that is our good. And I'm not even touching the water side. That is going to be even more, because water is becoming scarce. But even leaving the water side, hydropower and India's requirement and our own requirement is tremendous. That is where we have a competitive advantage. Third, I have always said, is a high-value agriculture. Because Nepal is so small, we can't compete on regular agriculture. But we have a tremendous feature here again. Again, I would say given by Pashupatinath or whoever. If you look at the map of Nepal, it's long. But the breadth is, if it's a crow flying state, it's 112 miles. And yet you have 5 ecosystems. Which country has that? That means you can, if input, the technical and necessary input is put, you can grow anything. And the area is small, so it's manageable. We have problems of land holding and all that, but that is a soluble problem. If you remember, that was the first time the market opened. That was the first 1990 change of government. And somehow the shortage of power, even Nepal was feeling. And the government at that time really encouraged it. I'll tell you, Mr. Koirala was the Prime Minister then. He told me, he says, Mr. Rana, I didn't even knew him very well. He said, I am told if anyone, you can do this. All right. Second thing, he says, don't tell me technical. I have known. Please go and see if you can do this. And there was no project as such also. He didn't talk any specific. I said, look, it's my interest also. I will try. But I told him plainly, I will take a year. If I can do it, I will come and say, yes, we can do it. If I can't do it, I'll tell him, look, I have tried, I can't do it. Then I talked, and there was one thing on this. There was somehow, on this aspect, both the then king and Prime Minister Koirala did not insist, but they said, we feel that this is an area where American investment can come. So try to bring up American investment. And it so happened the market opened. This was an area where actually America could really look into. That time ambassador, if you remember Julia Chang, she knew this was an area where American investment can come. And without her help, we couldn't have done it. You know, she gave us all the introduction to that American private sector support unit. The feasibility report cost us $1 million. At that time, who was going to bring out $1 million work? Even where will we bring it and get it? It was that institution work. Their way of working is very simple. They will help you. If the project comes, you put that money as a equity. If somehow it didn't come, they would forget about it. That's how Julia Chang encouraged me. I went to America. And I was prepared, after we talked here also, 36, 30, त्यो पनि थिएन पहिला त अझ त्यो मोदी हो नि हैन औ त्यो 18 मेगावाटको थियो त्यो मेरो चाहिँ त के लागेको थियो भने I felt कि what they called boutique power generating company would be interested, but I went to the energy ministry कोमा गएर मिलाएको थियो. I saw the 5 top. I got a bit before because I was going to make a presentation thinking the people will be slightly better than me. I had nothing at all, but this will be boutique. It was so. What it taught me was, this is an area where really big companies from America can come. Ultimately, Harza just joined us. Others didn't because they only came to know what is the offer Nepal is making. Because Harza came because it's an engineering company, you see, and they had worked in Nepal. So from the engineering side, they saw a business opportunity. It was only on my insistence they had to take 5%. I said, no, you just can't come and take the money. You will have to put in the money also. If there is a will, it can be done. I'm really telling you, you can have a different party, but again the vision. If you want something, it can be done in Nepal. We went through 3 governments. It was Mr. Koirala who told me, and I came back and I said it's possible. It will take a few more months, but it's possible. So the process started. If you remember, partnership also, without the IFC also we couldn't have done it, because it was the IFC who introduced us. They introduced us to 100 companies. Most of the companies said, where the hell is first of all Nepal and then this Botekosi? Genuine question. Even though it may be a small project. But it started with Mr. Koirala, then Mr. Adhikari's government came, then it completed, by the time we signed everything, was Mr. Dewa's coalition government. So we passed through 3 governments, but there was a consistent support and effort from government of Nepal, irrespective of what their political philosophy, whatever may be, to see that this project came. One of the reasons why, because though the government changed, you had a secretary who was determined also, and you have they had created the Nepal Electricity Authority. And the head man and the 2 men remained throughout, in spite of the change of government. Therefore, it worked. So it didn't matter even if the political leadership changed. There was a political will to do this, but the people who have to carry are the bureaucracy. And they carried and they supported us till the last.